Welcome to the RaceGuru Thunder Hour. I'm your part-time co-host, Rich. I'm buried in football, Maletto, and joined, as always, the anchor of the show, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend behind the curtain, Sean Engel, who you can find on X at SeanE247. Remember, we spell Sean the right way here, SeanE247. And just joking around, folks, I don't care if you spell it Sean with a W or an E or O. I saw that one day, Sean with an O in there. Maybe I was mispronouncing the name there, Sean. But anyway, please give Sean a follow on X, SeanE247. You can find me on X. I don't recommend you follow me at Fantasy Bosco. Right now, it's a lot of quote tweets and football stuff. Not a lot of racing going on, although there's been some fun, interesting stories. But yeah, as always, we'd like to thank our parental website, fantasyguru.com, a part of the Elite Plus network that allows us to bring you this podcast each and every week. And we apologize for last week, as the timing with the race weekend starting on Thursday just did not work for our recording and editing purposes. And with football on the table, I mean, it's not even on deck. It's front and center at this point since we're heading into week 3. Sean and I have been doing a lot of football stuff, and we want to give the football guide a shout out. There's still plenty of, I don't know what kind of discounts we've got going on right now, Sean. I have dropped the ball there. We usually have stuff going on, especially once the season starts. You can always reach out to support at fantasyguru.com. But I love our football guide. We got a table of contents. Jeff has got rankings for days. We got super flex, non-super flex, or super flex, 1 QB, standard, PPR. He's got a flex ranking list now. So you guys all that, have troubles with the whole receiver running back thing, he's got you covered on that. We've got Russ, Tyler, Armando constantly pumping out articles. Hat tip to those guys. They're always grinding away. I've got some articles that come out. You'll see some later this week, like Start Sit that drops on Friday. And we've always got the betting content for those of you that got the betting package, which I recommend. I think the betting package is one of the best values and some of the most fun. And shout out to both Fuzzy and OGB for the early line call outs each week. You guys keep NASCAR fun when I'm starting to get down. Yes. So I'm going to give you guys a hat tip and shout out, gentlemen. At least I assume you're all gentlemen. I think Fuzzy's a gentleman's name. I know OGB is. And if not, I apologize if I've offended anyone. Get in line. There's a long line of people I've offended over the recent time here. So anyway, Sean, I'm ready to talk some NASCAR. I'm ready to take a break from football. How about you?
Yeah, it's nice to go forth and take a break from thinking about football. I mean, football, we're in the midst of football season, so football is hot and heavy and everywhere right now, but we can't always forget about a little bit of racing action here and there, Rich, especially as we're in the middle of playoff time right here for the NASCAR season. So we got the last couple of races that are still wrapping up. I mean, we only have 7 more weeks left of the 2025 season to go through, so...
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Although I will say this, Sean, I love the races we have in this schedule. Take out the oval, put in, say, Watkins Glen or something. But the spread as far as types of tracks, the uniqueness. I mean, we're at New Hampshire this weekend. We had Bristol last weekend. We've had Darlington in it. We've had we will have Talladega in it, right?
Round of 8 this year for Dega.
Right. So, I mean, we are getting the whole gamut of tracks. I'm not saying we go to a 10-race season, but, boy, it would be nice to have this kind of spread for the regular season or the whole season. And I'm not even going to talk about regular season playoffs next year. There's so much scuttlebutt on that. But I do want to give NASCAR a hat tip because I bust their balls a lot. I like the spread that we've got for the 10-race playoff schedule.
Yeah, it's not a bad spread overall. You got a variety of tracks, and you're hitting every type at least once or twice. So, right, the way they have it structured is like you got yourself a shorter track, you got yourself an intermediate, and then you got some sort of wild card track within each round this year, outside of the championship race, of course. But yeah, it's actually a variety.
I'm not touching that championship race with a 10-foot pole, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, truly. But overall, Gotta say, playoff time is always an interesting time of year, especially if you're playing DFS or betting. Mark and I have mentioned it on the show. We've talked about that a little bit on some of the episodes where Rich wasn't around to join us, unfortunately. But we have Rich here right now, so fun times. It's great to have him back on the show. But Rich, how about we do a little bit of talking about the past round that just finished up? We just finished up at Bristol, and that was the final race of the round of 16, the first round of the 2025 Cup Series playoffs right there. So how about some first reactions? What did you think of the three races in this round, and especially Bristol right there as it is? And what do you think about the 4 eliminations that happened in the Cup Series?
TV loves the eliminations. I know Jeff Burton came out and said, oh, TV didn't do this, and they had some suggestion. They like talking it up. I hate the fact that we focus so much time on the race within the race. I thought Bristol was its own interesting race. There was a lot of anomalies going on. Now, I'm going to call out some fans. What they did, this was basically old school Bristol. I know some people are going to say we didn't want that much tire wear. Others are going to say the tire wear made it great. I'm talking about the one-lane groove. Y'all wanted the one-lane groove. You got the one-lane groove, and now you're complaining it's a conveyor belt. I liked it when they went to the progressive banking and we had 2 lanes. Y'all said it sucked because nobody was wrecking and they weren't turning each other. So I feel bad for NASCAR in that regard. The drivers like the 2 lanes. Most of the fans want 1 lane. We give them back the 1 lane and they're griping because it's only at the bottom. I would have loved to have seen this tire wear without the sticky stuff on that 2-foot path around the bottom of the track that made it a 1-lane groove, right? I mean, it was somewhat conveyor belt, but it was old Bristol to me, so I kind of was ignoring that. It wasn't even registering on me. The strategy, the tire wear, especially at the end of the race where it looked like guys were going to try to push the envelope, and the only one that seemed to be saving his tires was Brad. So I was really hoping to see that play out, and then we had the whole incident with Bubba Wallace and Cole Custer, right in front of Brad. So Brad didn't get to see that play out. Brad ended up getting tires, made it go. I mean, I love that he tried to punt him the best he could without getting too ridiculous. That is old Bristol. That's what it was, dump and run, right? So I'll be honest, man, 2 weeks ago, I didn't really see anything because NASCAR thought it was a brilliant idea to put the race on at the exact same time as the first week of the NFL, which blows my mind. Bristol had less ratings this year than last year, but it was minimal compared to the previous week. If I'm NASCAR, why are you not running the weekend of Bristol the first week of the NFL season? Because I'm going to hate to break it to you. People are ready for football. You aren't getting any casual eyes. Heck, even your fans that are kind of diehard but also like football, they probably tuned out on the race to watch football because we haven't had football all year. So I know they don't want to hear you can't compete head-to-head. That's not the solution. I don't understand how it's not part of the solution how do you get casual eyes or grow the fan base if you don't get new eyes and you don't get the casual eyes and you lose 100% of the casual eyes, potentially new eyes, when you compete head-to-head with the juggernaut that is the NFL? Like, I get college is pretty diehard, but it's typically by team or region, Ohio State fans aren't tuning in at 9 o'clock to watch SEC football as a general rule. Diehard football fans are. So I don't understand the logic, but there's a lot of things I don't understand. So you'll have to kind of break down a couple of weeks ago. But overall, Sean, I thought it was pretty good. The guys that got knocked out, I'm not shocked. I feel a little bit bad for Bowman. I mean, he gave it a go, but Hendrick is struggling right now. Hendrick is, I put in the article a couple of weeks ago, Hendrick's lacking speed. And it's not just Bowman. Yeah. Bowman's actually might have been the best of the group, if we're being frank. But Byron's not as sharp. Larson's not as sharp. Elliott's just kind of hanging around.
Elliott even suffered a scare during the past weekend at Bristol right there, where had his race gone worse than it did right there, and had maybe Bowman earned more stage points, or if Austin Dillon was able to get back up there, he would have been in jeopardy of even being in this next round of the playoffs right there, after arguably being maybe the most consistent driver of the season so far in the regular season.
He's only had, two DNFs all year?
Yeah.
And he thought he was out, right? I mean, when they first interviewed him, he was like, well, Oh, we still have a shot? Oh, okay. I mean, and you can tell the drivers, they all want the championship, but they know how fluky this playoff system is. None of them are getting put on tilt or worked up. They're like, it is what it is. And they're like, oh, pleasantly surprised, I'm still in. Or, oh, yeah, we kind of knew that might happen and get knocked out. SVG, look, this is why the whole freaking out over dominating the road courses, why I've said we've gone too far to the road courses, why it's a specialty. This first round showed, and SVG admitted it. I'm not good enough yet. Hat tip SVG, you've made huge strides, bro. I have no disrespect.
Yeah, especially when he was getting to the point of starting to earn top 20s on ovals at a more regular basis.
On a regular basis. But let's stop with this nonsense about how great he is and how dominant he was on the road courses. And this goes back to the system is fluky and it's not paying the overall drivers. And this round showed it. I would argue this round is probably the best round. If you want to talk about who are the best overall drivers, this round gave us that with the 3 tracks. None of them are super fluky, in my opinion.
Darlington, Gateway, and Bristol.
Yeah, I don't think any of them. You've got an old school traditional track, Darlington. I love that we go to Gateway now. It's unique. It's not quite a short track, not quite an intermediate, but boy, it races more like an intermediate spots and short tracks like other spots. It's fun. And Bristol is an old short track race. Like, I'm good with that, man. This is what NASCAR was built on, and I don't know why everybody wants to reinvent it. If you like road racing, cool. Go watch F1 and IndyCar, guys. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm a little over people going, oh, we need to have more road race. I don't think so. NASCAR was built on ovals.
Well, the IndyCar crowd couldn't watch IndyCar at this point of the year, so it would just have to be F1. IndyCar finished their season out.
Fair enough. And what are IndyCar fans asking for? More ovals. And to the people that try to say, oh, NASCAR got its start, run and shine. Okay, they built the cars to run shine. They didn't race the cars through the hills of Appalachia. They talked smack to each other and went to a bull ring locally that they basically made on their own in a field and talked smack. And then when NASCAR got a deal and went to Daytona, well, Daytona's a road course. No, it wasn't. It was an oval. It was a very unique oval where you run part of it on the beach, part of it on the road. There were no right turns. It was all left. Actually, it may have been all right turns because I think they ran it backwards. But it was all turns the same way. It was not road racing. So the people that's saying, I don't know my history on NASCAR, bring it. I got the books, and I'm not joking. I literally have the books. So, sorry, I'll get off my high horse now.
Yeah. There you go. He's ready, folks. He's ready.
Stick a quarter in me, Sean. Stick a quarter in me, buddy.
Well, I'd have to go across the room to get one, so I might have to wait on that one. But
to your point, yes, I love the 3 races. I think it's fair. It gets more to your point. We got Daytona, we got the Roval. It's going to get more fluky.
Yeah, this next round we got New Hampshire, Kansas, and then the Roval right there. So we got
and what did they do?
Ovals, and then we got the road course.
They put the fluky weird ball race as the last eliminator. They're manufacturing drama. Let's be honest.
I mean, yeah. They do that this round in order to do that, especially because they did not do the same thing with Talladega in the round of 8. They made that the second race of the round of 8 there.
Did the drivers gripe about that a couple of years ago? Because did they have that as the final race at one of the segments a couple of years ago?
Yeah, it used to be the round of 12 finale a couple years back. Then they decided to stick it as the second race to change it.
Well, hat tip to Bristol. I loved Gateway, at least the Xfinity race. I didn't see much of the Cup race. The Xfinity race I watched at Gateway. I thought it was a good show. Trucks, I thought, put on a decent show. I think the Trucks ran Gateway, or did they run Darlington? They've run
Trucks ran Darlington, I know.
Yeah. Darlington's always I like Darlington. I like the Lady in Black. I like the challenge of it. So it is what it is. Go ahead.
Only other thing I'm going to shout out regarding this round was the fact that JGR swept all 3 races in Cup.
They did. And that is something worth noting and pointing out. And I hate to break it to everybody. This does not bode well for the rest of the field.
No, it does not. That is for sure. JGR, they look hungry.
And here's the funny thing. Like I told my buddy at work, I said, here's the irony, because he pointed out, he goes, Joe Gibbs won all 3. I said, I know. I said, here's what's ironic. He goes, what? I said, Ty Gibbs led the most laps at Bristol. He had the best car at Bristol, and due to a pit stop mishap where he missed pit road, I said, you don't realize how well he ran. But Joe Gibbs about got us swept with the guy who's not even in the playoffs.
Yeah. It's crazy. You talk about JGR, and then you got their 3 main drivers all winning multiple times this year now, and they each took a race in this round, and yet we still don't have Ty Gibbs winning a single race in his Cup career despite his best efforts.
Wow. And this isn't the first time he's led a bunch of laps, right?
And not the first time at Bristol he's done it either.
No. And here's what's going to happen with Ty, folks. He's going to win one. And you're going to see him be like Hamlin and Bell, and he's going to rattle off 3-4 wins over the course of a 2-month period. And we're all going to be just, what happened? It's coming. The Ty Gibbs storm that Sean and I have been predicting for about 2.5 years, it's coming. It may not hit till 2026, but Hurricane Ty Gibbs is on its way.
Yeah, it's definitely not out of the question, that's for sure. And I'll say this much. It's looking more and more like the promotion that they did for Chris Gaypart at the beginning of the season is looking more and more like a G2 because the Gibbs cars are looking so much faster this year.
And you know where they stole that idea from? Hendrick that took Chad Knaus and put him in the same position. And we've seen this in the past with Roush, with Robbie Reiser. There is something about taking these really successful, good crew chiefs and putting them in charge of all of competition and letting them have a reprieve from the, being on the box and all of that, to letting them have a 30,000-foot view. Hat tip Joe Gibbs. Hendrick says this all the time. It's the people, it's the people, it's the people. And I 100% agree with you. And look, they did the right thing with Ty Gibbs and the crew chief. They did a right thing with Denny Hamlin. We questioned it at the beginning of the year. I'll give Joe Gibbs. I'll give you golf clap, buddy.
Yeah, golf clap right there. And then you got Bell, who's just him and Adam Stevens are a little more locked in, and they are hungry to win that title this year. I mean, Bell said it himself after last year, where he was like, "I got cheated out of getting into the championship." He
did, and he's not wrong. And I also want to give Bell a shout out and a black flag to NASCAR. Bell, I love you bringing out your personality. And the Bubba haters, I love that Bubba has his personality. I was glad to see him earn that victory at Indy. I do want people to cut him some slack. I'd like to see him have some success. Has he been and brought some of it onto himself? Yes. But we all have complained about Vanilla Jimmy. So quit knocking the guy for showing personality. And to the people that got mad at Bell for dedicating the win or doing whatever, I don't have time and place for you. I want Bell to show his personality. I want him to be him. And shame on NASCAR for shortening the interview when they shared it because they were afraid to make waves. I want to give Christopher Bell a double checkered flag. Hat tip, Bell. You earned that win, and I appreciate how you handled it in victory lane.
Yeah, I mean, Bell, he earned that win after basically knocking Zane Smith up to the side right there on old tires. And then he held off Keselowski. And you know what? I do think that had this not been the current car that we're using, I think Keselowski would have ended up winning this race.
Yes. I mean, Denny has said you can't get to the other car in this car. Brad got to the car. He just couldn't do. You could tell he was completely out of the control by the time he got there. He threw it in there, said, I got to give him a bump. I got to try. And it's not like he dumped him. You know what I mean? And Bell was good about it.
In the back right there. It just didn't do much. Just because the car is heavy and takes a hit.
Brad's got a win coming, man. They do. People have the knocking him because he's being opinionated and speaking. And, the amount of hate that gets thrown at Bubba, Denny, Brad, just because they speak their mind blows my mind because all these guys have way more experience behind the wheel, on the track, and multiple cars than any of the people griping at them. And they want to tell them what they should be thinking and saying. I ain't got time for it.
And the crazy thing is, too, is that people some of the Bubba haters don't want to think about it, but he legitimately earned his way into this next round even before the race ended. So that should say something right there about the fact that he had a really good round of 16.
What I was going to say, I have him here listed. We'll talk about him a little bit later in the show. What I was impressed with, tracks I don't necessarily associate him running well in, he was top 5. He was consistently running top 5 in all 3 races of this round of 16. And hat tip to the team, because I'll be frank with you, I think Bubba's looking better than Reddick.
He is. I mean, he locked in before Reddick did this round.
Bubba haters be Bubba haters. I'm not going to tell you who to love, who to hate. But I got to give the man respect because he's impressing me on the track, and it's worth noting. He got kind of robbed because the reason he ended up in the wall and breaking the car wasn't his fault. That was Brad and Custer. And honestly, I put that more on Custer than Brad, because Custer was a laps down, but that was not Bubba's fault. And it's a shame because he showed some speed early on in the event.
Yeah. I mean, the 2311 cars, although mainly it's Bubba and your favorite name that did a part-time start there, Heimtime. I'm with his first career Cup Series top 10 right there too, Rich.
He did look good too, bro. He did look good too, man. Like, and the thing is he didn't look that great in the truck race. Lane Riggs, my boy Lane Riggs, putting on, when this dude shows up, man, it is tough for the field to hang. That dude, he's like one of the football teams that puts the foot on your throat and doesn't let up. If Lane Riggs got a vehicle, look out, man. I mean, he's another one that's going to be fun to watch, bro. I'm big on Lane Riggs, man.
He's been the only real driver that's actually kept up with Heim this year on a semi-regular basis, at least you can say.
Agreed.
So that right there should already tell you something.
But the point is I really was impressed with Heim's run in the Cup car because he wasn't that particularly great in the trucks. So, you almost expect him dominate the truck race, kind of fight through the Cup race. That's not what it was at all. He held his own in the truck race. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying a 5th place finish or wherever he was bad, but we're so used to Heim being at the front and kind of dominate or being the fastest truck. And I was more impressed with his run on Sunday. And I've said it 100 times, Sean. We've been in agreement on this for about 2 years now. Get the freaking guy in a Cup car, and it's going to happen. Finally.
Well, I'll just say this much, but if Riley Herbst keeps on tanking in that 35 car, it may just be sooner rather than later at this rate.
I don't know what you've heard, Sean, but I've heard that it's pretty much a done deal. Heim's in a Cup car. What Cup car that is, I do not know.
At the very least, he's going to be part-time at the minimum. At the very minimum, part-time.
Well, he doesn't have a truck ride. So I hope we get him some sort of ride.
I've been hearing so far that if it's not going to be a shared Cup ride with a team that's already in Cup, he's going to bounce around between all 3 series every week. Just trucks 1 week, Xfinity O'Reilly another week, and then Cup another week.
Now. Do you know that would be kind of fun to watch? I'm not going to lie, Sean. Like, talk about a way to hone your skills, to be jumping from vehicle to vehicle to vehicle each week. Dude, they do that, and this guy gets good at it. And Ty Gibbs, look out, because I know you guys hate each other. I'm ready for the Heim Gibbs head-to-head competition. I'm not going to lie, dude. Sign me up.
You know what? About the Ty Gibbs, Corey Heim thing, I have to actually clarify something here based on what I was reading. Apparently, the two themselves don't dislike each other anymore and are actually on speaking terms.
When did that happen?
This year, apparently. That they finally sorted their differences out at least a little bit. But really, the one that's still salty about it is Joe Gibbs.
What? Wait, time out. Why is Joe Gibbs salty about it?
Because Ty's his grandson, and Joe's not getting over it, too, apparently.
What exactly? So here's what's interesting to me. Heim and Gibbs, their disagreement goes back to before ARCA. And both of them ran Toyotas in ARCA, I believe, with Joe Gibbs. I'm almost positive they were teammates for at least one season in ARCA. So what is the beef? Ty Gibbs already got the Cup ride. Joe Gibbs, what are you upset about? Like, I don't even know what started it. I just thought it was racing issues, like Sammy Smith and Taylor Gray, right?
Apparently, it was really personal for a while there, and then although they allegedly sorted out their differences this year, Joe still doesn't respect Heim enough in order to put him in one of his cars.
So that's really why Heim hasn't gotten the cup yet, is because Joe Gibbs is being a little. And Joe Gibbs, I've met you. We've talked. I have a lot of respect for you. Don't be a little bit. What the? Okay, you've allegedly been a little bit. Why? Like, I don't understand it. I tell you what, I'll go this far. I would be shocked if JD Gibbs would have allowed Joe to make it that personal when JD took a lot of pride in finding talent and nursing that talent and getting talent in cars. Don't be that way, Joe. What the hell, man? Oh, well, I wish I could interview these guys because I want to know what the fuck happened. He's still the owner
of the team, so we are still not going to see it while he's still the majority owner right there. But even so, he's already got a cup lineup that's going to last him a long time anyway. Outside of Denny in 2 years.
Heim needs to go to 2311 or somewhere else anyway because...
Well, he is signed to 2311. So if an opening happens in 2311, like say for example, they get rid of Riley Herbst, Heim is in that car.
But I mean, Bell's not going anywhere, right? Ty Gibbs isn't going anywhere. Chase Briscoe's not going anywhere. So I mean, and Denny renewed, like you said, for 2 more years. So, that would have to wait anyway, but Joe, don't cut off your nose to spite your own face, bro. Come on, man.
Yeah, Joe's probably going to be looking towards maybe promoting the next guy from within that they might have developed. And my guess is that probably by the time Denny's done, maybe they might throw Sawalich into that car.
Or Taylor Gray. I mean, Gray's looked better so far. I think Sawalich is probably the guy they want. But... Yeah, and Sawalich has started. Sawalich, he has struggled in this Xfinity car. I mean, he's starting to finally come around. I really had higher hopes he would do better this year. But in all fairness, Taylor Gray kind of flubbed this year too, man. I mean, both those guys, I had higher hopes for how they would perform, and they've been kind of disappointing overall. Better this last third of the season.
Yeah, I mean, Taylor's had some flashes of runs right there, and we still can't forget he had that Martinsville race earlier in the year locked up until Sammy Smith decided to throw his hat into the ring right there. But, yeah, Taylor's had some flashes of good runs, though, too. And as we've seen, Sawalich now have some flashes as well. So, really, I do think it's going to be one of those guys maybe fighting for Denny's seat in the next few years, unless they get somebody else in one of those cars that ends up really flashing at a faster rate. Like if we suddenly see, like, I don't know, Caden Honeycutt.
I was going to say Caden Honeycutt. Caden Honeycutt's the name that comes to mind because I'm sitting here going, we haven't seen Honeycutt in top tier equipment. I could see him really, let's say he performs Heim-like next year in the truck, right? Because he's taking over Corey's truck. I could see them putting Xfinity cars, and we've seen this. Jimmy Johnson's a prime example. Jimmy Johnson never looked that great in back then a Busch car, but he took right to the Cup car. I mean, like immediately. So, would I be shocked if Caden Honeycutt hops in a Joe Gibbs Xfinity ride and performs? No, but I mean, Joe, if you're going to be that way about Heim, then why not give Ryan Truex a full-time ride?
I guess they're trying to figure. Well, Joe's already said in the past that the Xfinity cars are more like buy rides, that if you have the money, you can get the ride. And that's been the problem with Ryan Truex, is that he just does not have enough sponsorship backing behind him in order to do more than a few races.
All right. Well, enough about that, I'm thinking. So where do we want to head next, Sean? Where are we segueing?
Let's drive ourselves over towards the nice track that is New Hampshire. Let's go right there.
Magic Mile. The Magic
Mile. So we got ourselves a 1 mile flat track this week right here. It's the opening race of the round of 12. So 12 drivers in the Cup Series are left fighting for the championship. But we got ourselves yet another shorter oval. So that Dominators are going to be a factor in this because there's going to be a higher than average lap count. Keep that in mind for DFS out there. there is going to be a little bit of movement as it is through passing. I think a little bit more so than some other shorter tracks because New Hampshire does have a little bit more legroom in order for drivers to make moves for position. So that right there is something to keep in mind. And as far as bets, well, I mean, we can try to diversify between a few different drivers as far as the bets are concerned. And there are some top 10 and top 5 options to consider. But as far as winners are concerned, I don't think we're going to find too many different drivers to move away from the favorites over there, Rich, for betting purposes, right?
No, and I think it is a very tough track to pass, but what we have seen is cars that have figured out how to roll through the corner. And look, they've got notes on this track from nights. They used to do this race under the lights. They've done it during the day. They used to race here twice, one at night, one during the day. You will see drivers use that apron to get around the corner. If the car sticks, you will see a car come from the back and just start passing car after passing car after passing car. And you will see cars that can't pass each other if their life depended on it. So the tricky part is figuring out for sure which car is near the back. Once the race starts and, there's a problem, one of the front runners gets in the back, you might obviously see them work their way through. But we're going to have probably 3 or 4 cars that don't start near the front. This was more true with the old car, so maybe not so much with this car. But I still think you're going to see a handful, maybe a couple of cars starting mid-20s or later that will be able to pass. And if you can roll the corner, at New Hampshire, you can have yourself a dominating day. And so to Sean's point, don't be shocked if we've got basically 3 drivers that lead all the laps, one leading anywhere from half to 3/4 of the race like we saw at Bristol.
Yeah, just through each stage because each stage they're going to have pit stops, of course, and that could shake up the field right there as it is too, with different drivers either staying out or different drivers that just simply are better on pit road and make their way up to the front as a result that way. So we do have to keep that in mind right there. We are going to have to pay attention a little bit towards practice and qualifying as a result for the Cup Series this week, because that's going to really determine a lot of who we're going to end up liking this week, who we got to consider. Qualifying is quite important at a track like this too, where we know that passing, even though it can be easy if with the right car, it can also be a challenge too at the same time as well.
And look, it being a short track, we will get at least some 10, 15, 20 lap averages. We will get that. Now, I will be the first to admit with this car that has not been as great of an indicator. We saw that with Kyle Busch at St. Louis. We saw that with a couple other drivers throughout the year. And this is where I think Sean's spot on. I'm starting to figure out, at least in my opinion, if they're fast in practice and qualifying, those are the drivers we want to focus on. I'm not going to chase as much of the guys that were good in practice unless I see something in qualifying. Like they got into the wall, they overdrove the first turn, and you see it get squirrely. Something like that where you're like, there was definitely driver error during the qualifying run. Otherwise, I'm going to be leaning on a combo between the two. I'll take my shot, Sean, with some of the cars in the back, but I got to tell you, I'm going to be chasing dominators and finishing positions, I think is going to be my approach this week.
Yeah, I think that is a pretty good approach overall, too. And then if you could find maybe a driver that is definitely going to move up from where they're starting, maybe you could consider fitting them in too, depending on the circumstances.
A lot of RFK teams, they have not qualified well at some of these tracks, but we have seen them show speed. So, Brad, Priest, Buscher, I could see myself taking a shot with them further in the back. Same thing for Legacy. Legacy's been running well in race trim. Qualifying's been kind of up and down, but they've been pretty decent at most tracks, better than what, I can't call them the soccer club anymore, Sean. They've earned their keep. And Jimmy's done a couple of things that I've got to give him a hat tip about. So John Hunter, Eric Jones, I won't be shocked, if they're qualified mid-20s and they rattle off a top 15, top 10 type finish.
They're both 22nd and 23rd in points right now, too, and not far off from the top 20 in points. So that just goes to show how much of an improvement that team's been making, especially when you consider John Hunter's team was like close to the very end of points last year at this time 1 year ago, and now they're just about almost top 20 teams.
This time last year, we were talking about John Hunter being on the hot seat. I don't think that's a discussion at all at this point.
Nope. In fact, actually, the discussion with Legacy is more so how they're going to get a third charter, really, more than anything.
They're going to Dodge.
Well, we do not know that for certain yet, but
no,
that might be a few years down the road.
I'm planting my flag now, Sean, so you can video clip this in 3 years.
Duly noted. I'm going to have to make a note of that for sure then. Two more notes that are specific to the Truck Series race, though, to mention is that we're getting an extended practice session for the Truck Series this week, mostly just because this is the first truck race at New Hampshire since 2017 this week, Rich.
So we got no data. So heads up for the cheat sheet that I'll be doing this week. We won't be looking at driver history at all. It's pointless. Ty Majeski's going to have some history. Maybe Hemrick. Maybe. We're going to be leaning on qualifying practice times, guys and girls.
Oh, yeah, because there's going to be an extended practice. It means there's going to be more speed data to study this week. So do keep that in mind.
We can't pull data from 8 years ago and make it relevant, Sean. That's just foolish.
Yeah. The other important note about the truck race to mention is that this is an elimination race for the Truck Series this week. So two drivers are going to be losing out on the chance to win the Truck Series championship after this weekend's race. So really, you got to think about the circumstances too. For some of those drivers that are on the cut line or below the cut line, this is their last chance in order to continue to move on right there.
Do you have the cut line handy in front of you by chance?
As far as the Truck Series is concerned, I believe the two rate drivers that are currently below the cut line are Jake Garcia and Chandler Smith.
Jake Garcia was terrible last race. Chandler Smith, I don't know what happened to them because Lane Riggs, his teammates. So I don't know what happened there. Chandler must have gotten into an accident.
Chandler's had mechanical issues in both of the truck races this round.
That's unfortunate. Who are the two above the cut line?
Here we go. I got it up here. Let me see if I could share it on screen. Give me 1 sec. All right. Now we got it up here.
Here we go. Oh, let's see. Honeycutt's sitting all right. Go Honeycutt. Go Raja. Oh, no, they're not. They're just above. So Raja and Honeycutt are hanging on for dear life, basically.
Yeah, Hemrick and Majeski are both feeling pretty good about their chances. Enfinger and Enkrum, they just need to have an accident-free race. Honeycutt and Raja, they need to at least work a little bit more because Jake Garcia is not far behind. But Chandler Smith, though, he's got to be thinking he's got to win in order.
He has to win. Chandler has to win. And in all fairness, Chandler can. I mean, he has experience at this track because he's raced Xfinity, he's raced Cup. We saw what front row can do with Riggs. Like I said, Riggs was dominant last weekend. So
and if I'm front row, I'd rather have two of my trucks in the next round of the playoffs than one. So you're going to be putting all your resources towards Chandler's truck this week just to get him the win.
Depending on how practice qualifying goes, I may be building around Chandler Smith, to be honest with you, Sean.
Yeah, and I think it's a pretty good idea right there. And I'm not going to count out Jake Garcia too, because the thing about Jake Garcia is that during this past race at Bristol, he actually legitimately had a very fast truck, but kind of got hampered due to some engine issues, unfortunately, on his end. So it's not for a lack of speed that I think Jake Garcia is even in this position right there. I think he has a chance as long as he's got that same kind of speed that he showed from the Bristol race.
That's fair. He just seems to get himself into trouble. So that's why I'm not. Chandler Smith is a savvy vet, if you will. Jake is a kamikaze youngster. So I will plant my flag with Chandler Smith and say, Jake, I hope you give it a good run. I know you got good speed, but maybe we should look at next year.
ThorSport, though, they're in the same position as front row as it is, so they're probably going to be putting their resources towards Jake this week just to help.
You would think so. You would think so. Chandler, I give a hat tip from a driver standpoint because this is Jake's first full year. He's raced a couple of years part-time.
Jake's been full-time, I think, for about 2 or 3 years now.
Is it that long now?
But this is his first time in the playoffs.
Okay. See, for some reason, I didn't think he was full-time last year, but I'm getting 2023 and 2024 mixed up, Sean. I'm old.
He was full-time last year.
Okay.
So that's where it stands right now. But for those that are playing in the truck race, do keep the playoff narrative in mind because it's definitely going to come into play.
Well, and I think Enfinger's probably fair to build around because they've shown speed at the shorter tracks. He just wants to have a clean race.
Yep, clean race. If you have that much points, a clean race is all you're asking for because all it takes is one accident with that many points early on, and you're on the hot seat.
And he is a former champ. He has done this before.
That's true. Very true that these drivers are going to be in good position right there. But that's all from the Truck Series race as it stands. The playoff picture is quite important to point out there. But what's also important to point out is the list of the part-timers and notables. Rich, you want to go ahead and read that off for us?
Yep, and just a reminder, everybody, because it's the playoffs, we will not have any Cup drivers in these rides. So if you hear some names you don't know, it's because we can't have truck drivers in it. So you will see some young guys or some opportunities for people that you may not otherwise see. Brent Cruz, one of those young guys, he's in the number 1 Tricon Garage truck. Jason Alexander, number 2 Young's Motorsports Machine. Stephen Sean, I had been nailing his name so well until now. Stephen Mala. It's Italian. Stephen Malozzi. Number 2, Rome Brothers Machine. Norm Benning's back in the number 6 Norm Benning Racing Truck. Pat Ehrmanley, number 7 for Spire. Christian Eckes, number 16 for Mackinac Heigelman. Mason Macy, number 20 Young Sports. Blake Lothian from the number 22 Rome Brothers truck. Tyler Tomasi in the number 33 Rome Brothers truck. Connor Jones is back in the number 41 for Nice Motorsports. Michael Christopher Jr., number 62, Hallmark Friesen Racing. So that'll be a teammate to Caden Honeycutt, who is driving Stuart Friesen's old truck. This truck used to be drove by Friesen's wife at times. Derek White in the number 69 Motorsports Business Management truck. And Caleb Costner in the number 74 Mike Harmon Racing Machine.
Overall, interesting list right there. I think the names that stand out to me most are, of course, Brent Cruz and Christian Eckes right there in that 16. That's going to be big to keep an eye on right there.
That and I definitely Eckes. I mean, because we're talking about somebody that drives typically Xfinity. I think he's even hopped in a Cup ride here and there. But Connor Jones in the 41 truck is another name I'm going to be watching.
All right, for the Cup Series, we don't have any unique names this week. It's just all of our regular full-timers that are in the Cup race this week. Full 36 field, just the Cup drivers are full-time. Nobody interesting or unique to keep in mind. Now, before we get into our picks, just as a reminder, we are part of FantasyGuru.com. They have all their NFL packages, and their guide is available right now. It's in in-season mode, so you want to get in there, and you want to be sure to absorb all the content for football. We still have content available for MLB. They're going to be heading into the playoffs very, very soon, so there's still going to be some coverage over in that. We still got plenty of package options, including MVP, Platinum, VIP, or all-in packages. They're all still available now. You can contact support at fantasyguru.com in order to know the best possible deal. Get on their good side. They may just discount you. So do keep that in mind and go forth, join fantasyguru.com, and you could start winning like a guru today. So go forth and get that done. Be sure to also like and subscribe if you haven't already on YouTube if you're watching it here. Also, feel free to leave comments. Do you like the show? Please let us know. We'd like to hear from you. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe. If you're in Discord too, give us a shout. Or if you're listening through the Fantasy Guru website, shout out to you too. We love to hear from you. So that's all I have to say.
I second that.
So let's get into our picks for this weekend. I'm just going to preface this right here by saying I actually don't have a complete idea of who Rich is going to fully suggest on the list because he did not put the driver picks in our little fancy rundown before we started the show this week. So I'm playing a little surprise raw reaction time with Rich Maletto in case he mentions anybody crazy or unique this week, which is always fun for me. So
all right,
there you go.
I apologize, Sean, because that's not very fair, to be honest. But I also want to apologize to the listeners and subscribers. Y'all love the gut shots. I know that. And I take a lot of pride in those and not just willy-nilly throwing them out, okay? I have to be in the right mental space. I don't know another way to describe this without sounding like a loon, but I have to be in the right mental space. So when I'm not feeling it, I'm not going to put it out there. I have been so neck deep in football that I do not have a good vibe or feel for what's going on in NASCAR right now. Like it's just not hitting me. So I'm not going to push a bunch of bets. I'm not going to push bets. So you're going to see less from me, not because I'm being lazy, but I'm not in the right mental space. My football bets are kind of right on the top of my head. Props, I like that sort of stuff. So I'm not going to suggest things because I don't want you all to lose. Okay. So I just want to be clear about that. There are a couple of things that I like, and I'll explain my logic and angle, but I just want you all to understand it's not that I don't want to give you that information. I don't want to give you bad information. So I apologize. I know I'll be geared up come February, but if you've seen it be a little light, that's why. And it's because I take losing your money and winning your money as a very serious thing. And I'm not going to just willy-nilly pencil whip it or give you names just so it looks like I'm going through the motions. That's not fair to you. So I'm just being transparent with everybody.
Fair enough. Now that the disclaimer's out there, let's talk about some of our top price picks to watch for this week's race. I'll go ahead with my list right here. So I got 2 Joe Gibbs Racing cars in my list of 3. I got Christopher Bell and Chase Briscoe right there. Bell, he's won 2 of the last 3 races at New Hampshire. You know, certain drivers, they have just the track for them. I call it the track just because no matter how poorly or how good they do in practice or qualifying, you know they're always just going to be there competing for the win. And for New Hampshire, this is Christopher Bell's playground right here. He's going to be the driver to beat, no questions asked. He's always had the fastest setups as it stands right here for the past couple of years. I mean, it's very hard to bet against C. Bell, especially when he's coming off some momentum with winning at Bristol. And, another factor that I'm going to mention is that there was a tire test that took place at New Hampshire about 2 months ago in order to determine what tire compound is going to be used, which, by the way, it's going to be the Richmond tire, in case you didn't know. So do keep that in mind. But at each tire test, one driver from every manufacturer is able to participate, and that's kind of like also an extended practice and research session for that driver right there as it stands. And who was the Toyota driver that tested at New Hampshire? Oh yeah, it was Christopher Bell, in case you needed any other points towards wanting to roster him this week. I mean, come on right there. And then Chase Briscoe's been absolutely on fire ever since, even just before the playoffs. No matter what track type it is, that 19 is fast. That 19 used to be really, really good and fast at this track with Martin Truex Jr., but now they got Chase Briscoe locked in. Give me some Briscoe right here, too. So that's already 2 drivers I have. And then for the last driver on my list, give me old number 22, Joey Logano right there.
He loves this track.
Yeah, he absolutely loves this track, and he considers it a home track, too. So that right there, we mentioned it before in the past that sometimes when a driver heads to their home track, they get more motivated in order to finish better, and that's going to be on display with Joey Logano this week. He's ran pretty well at this track in the past. And, oh, yeah, who was the Ford representative at that tire test? Joey Logano. So we should expect some speed out of that 22 this weekend there, Rich.
And Penske's been better on the shorter tracks. When we go to the intermediates, it's a little bit different. We go to the super speedways. Ford had been dominant. It's kind of eaten away. But at the shorter tracks, they've been fine. I'm with you on Logano. I consider it his home track as well. I don't know how many times I've seen him hold up the Lobster. I'm with you. The tire test just seals the deal. I'm with you on Bell as well. Here's my curveball. I don't disagree with the Chase call, but I'm planting a flag on Denny Hamlin this week, and here's why. And he is going to be in our court, or at least my court for winning too. Denny Hamlin is facing, I should say, the 11 team is facing a suspension from the tire they lost at Bristol. Joe Gibbs could appeal the suspension, drag it out. They asked to defer it. Now, I don't know that I've ever seen them defer it before, but I know technically they could appeal it and then pull the appeal, which would be the same effect. But what they decided to do was they asked basically to not deal with the suspension this weekend, and they'll deal with the suspension the following 2 weeks. What that tells me, I always say this in football, action's greater than words. They must think they have a shot to win this week. They are hoping to win this week. The 11 team needs to win this week because they're going to have an uphill battle the following 2 weeks. So I'm going with Denny Hamlin. He's the teammate of Christopher Bell coming off a win. Hamlin had the speed. They had some issues. So Hamlin, Bell, Logano are my 3. And like I said, I'm probably a little too heavy on Hamlin, but it's based on the fact they specifically asked to not be suspended this week, which tells me they either feel like they can be an autopilot the next 2 weeks or that they already had this circled as a race they thought they could win.
Yeah, which I think is a pretty good chance because if you told me to expand my list to add one more driver, Hamlin would have been that 4th one for me right there to add on my list.
If Briscoe would have been my 4th one. So, I mean, for the most part, Sean, we're on the same page. I'm planting my flag with Hamlin.
Yeah, and I think that's a pretty good bet right there, especially, I mean, in the next-gen car since 2022, Joe Gibbs Racing has been undefeated in the Cup Series at this track. 2 wins by Christopher Bell and 1 win by Martin Truex Jr. in the next-gen car. So that is pretty telling right there.
Interesting. And Hamlin's typically been a good flat track oval racer. So I'm shocked that Hamlin hasn't won there. Maybe he's due.
He has won at this track before, but
not
it was in the old car.
Yeah, not in the new car. Okay.
And multiple times at that, too.
So he's doing the new car is what you're telling me.
I'd say that if you did want to bet on Hamlin, this is not a bad week to do it. Not a bad week at all. Especially because I know that out of the 3 tracks, I mean, he's pretty good at Kansas too, but really it's just he wants to make sure that he's really in a really good situation.
That's what I'm saying. He really wants to get to the next round, and that's why I feel like they must be circling the first race of each round. Because if he wins this week, for who cares about the suspension, right? They don't need to even finish the damn race for the next 2 weeks, right? And then they hit square one again the following, after the suspension. So I could be wrong, but I'm saying the 11 car is going all in, all out to win this weekend.
I'd say that's not a bad bet at all. I like it. But let's get into our mid-tier drivers for this week's race at New Hampshire. So I got 3 names right here. I got yet another Toyota driver that I have my eye on. We talked about him a bit earlier, but give me some Bubba Wallace this week. I think the number 23 car, they've had some strong showings in this next-gen car at New Hampshire before, and they would have been on track for yet another pretty strong run. They had a fast car in last year's race. They got involved in an accident that ended their day early, unfortunately. But the previous 2 races before that, top 10 finishes, including a 3rd-place run in 2023. So, and Bubba's been even faster, I'd argue, than previous seasons. So
he's been good so far, man.
Yeah, he's actually led laps in each of the last 5 Cup Series races. I don't think we've ever seen that out of Bubba before in any previous season of his. So that 23 team, they have the speed no matter what type of track it is. So give me some Bubba. And then the other 2 drivers, give me a pair of RFK Racing drivers. Give me Chris Buescher, Mr. Top 10 himself that we nicknamed him on this very show. So I like Buscher. He can finish in the top 10. I can see some pretty strong results. He's been relatively consistent in that back half of the top 10 to top 15 range. For a driver at his salary, you got to like that as it stands right there. And then probably the name that I'm going to never stop mentioning till the end of time right there, just because DraftKings and FanDuel still have not gotten with the program and still have not priced him up to where he's been actually performing. Yeah, I'm talking about Ryan Preece yet again. Big shock right there.
They love underpricing him, right? So I'm kind of sticking with the theme. I'm going Ty Gibbs, bro. Give me Ty Gibbs. Give me Ty Gibbs. I know his stat at this track hasn't been quite the same. Give me Ty Gibbs. So he's one of them. I'm with you on Bubba Wallace, bro. I literally said to the TV last weekend or this past weekend, man, Bubba's just running well, like everywhere. So give me some Bubba Wallace. I think everything you hit on is spot on. And here's the curveball for you. Give me Hocevar.
Ooh, Carson Hocevar. That's an interesting choice, but I can dig that one. I was thinking about him too.
He kind of has a knack on these short tracks, which makes sense because that's really, he came from trucks to Cup, and they tend to run a few more short tracks there at the Truck Series. He had some speed this weekend. I mean, with about 30 to go, it was a legitimate question. Could Hocevar pull this off? Like, I mean, this, so at 7,200, practice may tell me different, Sean, but for right now, give me Gibbs, give me Wallace, give me Hocevar.
I can get behind those picks right there. For Gibbs, it's going to be a little bit qualifying dependent on me, but other than that, I think I'm pretty set good with that trio right there too. So,
well, and I'm being a little bold with Gibbs. Here's my angle on Gibbs. JGR won the 3 races. Ty Gibbs should have won potentially this last race. It's another short track. Again, he has a lot of experience. They've run cars. They've run multiple tracks when he was in ARCA that were like this. I think Gibbs, I think Hocevar, being young guys, I think they'll take to the track just fine. But I'm with you, Sean. At 8,100, he's going to be a contrarian play unless he really, shows out at practice.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to be watching for. But it's a name that in the back of my mind, I am going to keep my eye on and see what happens with him. So that's where my head is at.
And I want to hear your value picks here because I'm coming off the radar on these here, Sean. Ooh. I don't think you'll see these coming.
Yeah. Honestly, I think the value picks can go in any number of directions this week because here I think it's a little more no man's land compared to the other two tiers.
It for sure is, dude. Like, it's not like we got like playoff drivers we could just roll the dice and lean on. Like, it's kind of a crapshoot.
Oh, yeah. But the one driver that I think I'm most sure about out of this tier is Eric Jones in the number 43 for Legacy Motor Club. So that 43 car, they've been performing this year, and this has historically been a very solid track for Jones throughout his Cup career. And if you're looking for a driver to finish at least top 20, Jones is one of the best in this whole tier in order to get it done. He's finished top 20 on a number of occasions so far through his history, and he also is one of only a few drivers in order to finish in the top 20 in all 3 races of the next gen car at New Hampshire. Something that has only been shared with Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Larson, Chase Briscoe, Chase Elliott, and Chris Buescher.
That's some nice company, to be honest, man.
Yeah. Considering that he's all the way down in 6,300?
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't realize that. Makes me second guess because I was close, but it's making me second guess my choice. When you end up in that company, you're priced wrong. To quote Adam Sandler, the price is wrong.
I mean, couldn't have put it better right there. So that's that. But another driver I have my eye on is Daniel Suarez for this week's race. He also
surprised me.
He's also another driver that's actually had a history of some pretty solid finishes at this track before. Even though he's been with a variety of teams, about half of his starts he scored positive place differential in his Cup career at New Hampshire. And one other factor is, I know we didn't mention about the third driver that participated in that tire test. Well, that was Ross Chastain who participated in the tire test, and he is a teammate to Suarez as it is right now. So I think those Trackhouse cars could be interesting to watch this weekend. With Suarez being that low in salary, might be willing to take a shot on that right there.
So, you guys always ask about the gut feeling. Is, when you guys are scanning through and you keep coming across the same name, is that, kind of what I talk about when I get these vibes or whatever? That's pretty much what it is. Ross kept jumping out at me as I was looking through, and I couldn't get my arms wrapped behind it. Knowing now that he was a part of that tire test, because I did not know that, I could easily sub out Gibbs and go Chastain, just for the record. So I want to put Chastain on the radar because this is going to matter. And it was a name that I kept kind of almost coming back to, and I couldn't figure out why. So we'll put Ross Chastain on gut shot call watch. Just keep that in mind. It's funny because we're very close on our approach here, Sean. I went a little different. Instead of Eric Jones, I went John Hunter. We're on the same team, but I went John Hunter. And it is more of a gut shot than anything. It's just, I feel like he's performed better of the two lately. As far as speed is concerned, they've been very close, but I feel like John Hunter's had a bit more speed. So that's where my lean is. I have no problem going Jones, and they're priced so close together. You're split hairs. If you can't afford one, get the other one is basically where I'd be at. Because of the qualifying run, and I thought he looked decent the week or two before, I like AJ Allmendinger a bit. And I know the history isn't necessarily there, but this track, because of it being a flat mile oval, it's not quite Bristol, but it has tight turns. Road course racers have kind of taken to this track fairly well because it's a smooth braking deal, easy roll through the corner, easy on the throttle so you don't burn the tires off. Very much like hairpin turns and tight turns on a road course. So I know Dinger's record isn't like incredible here, but I'm kind of feeling it. And the other driver, because I do think road racers take to it, and he got a little slice of humble pie, I'm kind of in on SVG. He's cheap. He's cheap. We know the equipment is fine. He's been top 20 on these ovals. There's no pressure about advancing. He can kind of get back in his groove. It will not shock me if all of a sudden this week we're like, well, too bad SVG didn't do that the last two races. This doesn't look bad. So that's where I'm at. I want to give an honorable mention to Zane Smith. I don't know what it is, but I feel like we need to watch Zane Smith this week.
I do not mind either of those calls. I actually was heavily considering the Dinger for my list too, right there as it stands. So
that makes me feel a little better.
Yeah. And as for SVG, I mean, I think he can go either way. My whole thing is that he's never seen this track other than the Xfinity series. So I do think that right there, I think, is going to be making me a little bit hesitant, but I'm not entirely out on using him at this time because I do think if the circumstances line up, he could be playable too.
I'm only lukewarm. I mean, if you want to hold a gun to my head, I got no problem going Jones, Hunter, Nemechek, and Dinger. You know what I mean? Like, I would be totally fine with that group of my three, especially since I do think Jones and Hunter Nemechek John Hunter have definitely been going the right direction. Right. So, and Zane has a knack for some of these smaller tracks, and he showed a little bit that at Bristol at some, early on in the race. So it's just kind of like the same logic I have with Hocevar. I feel like some of these truck guys because we don't go here twice a year in the Cup anymore, in the Cup series. So I think there's something, to having driven a lot more flat short tracks, because we do not do a lot of flat short tracks in the Cup series.
No, we do not. And just before I forget, I only mentioned two of the three drivers on my list. Let me mention the last one right there.
My bad.
So the last one I have is an interesting name. This one is salaried under $6K, surprisingly, on DraftKings. Michael McDowell. I think that's another
road racer.
Yeah, another guy with road racing experience. But he's also been finishing in the top 20 two of the last three Cup races at New Hampshire as it is. He finished 15th last year, 13th the year before. I mean, he's had his fair share of decent results. And even in the last couple of races, you look towards the last 6 races this season, 5 top 20 finishes, and he's also gained positive place differential in 3 of the last 4 Cup Series races. So he could be one to watch, especially with how low he is salaried this week, too. And he hasn't been qualifying as good in the last couple of races. He's been top 20 or worse in the last 4. So could be one to watch right here for an opportunity DFS wise.
That's awesome. I can dig it. All right. So should we get into our bets then, Mr. Sean?
Yeah. Well, actually, before that, we got to get into our DFS core 4s.
Oh, my bad. You're right.
For me, I got C. Bell. Give me Christopher Bell at 11,200 on DraftKings, 14,000 on FanDuel. Bubba Wallace, he's 8,500 on DraftKings. He's also 8,500 on FanDuel. It's a big difference on FanDuel as it is if you're the same number there. I mean, that's a great salary for Wallace. Give me Ryan Preece, of course, at 7,000 on DraftKings, 6,500 on FanDuel. And then Eric Jones at 6,300 on DraftKings, 5,500 on FanDuel. What do you got, Rich?
Give me Denny Hamlin. I've already planted that flag. Give me Bubba Wallace. We're in agreement there. I'm going to go Carson Hocevar. I might pivot off him, but I like his price point. I think he's a value at 7,200. I think that's actually a steal for the way he's been running lately. We went from way underpriced to fair to way overpriced to a little overpriced to underpriced again. So I'm on the underpriced program. Give me Hocevar. And I like the Jones picks. I do not want to scare anyone off of Jones. I'm going John Hunter. So Hamlin, Hocevar, Wallace, and John Hunter are my core 4.
The one thing I will mention about John Hunter is that he finished 8th in this race 1 year ago, but the one caveat that is that last year's race was a little bit fluky because in the final stage, they were dealing with the rain and ran most of that stage under wet weather tires. So
I'm kind of throwing out history of John Hunter because John Hunter sucked last year. So where I'm coming from John Hunter is basically the last 6 races. And that's what I'm banking on. And I'm not saying that's the right way to do it, Sean. I'm just saying I'm not even worried about John Hunter's history here. I'm worried about the fact I think the dude's got speed the last month.
Oh, no, I don't disagree with that. I mean, you even look at the last 4 races, 17th at Daytona, 4th at Darlington, 6th at Gateway, 14th at Bristol, and he earned positive place differential in all 4 of those races. That should tell you that Nemechek has been hitting it.
And that's what I'm banking on. That's why I said I don't want to scare anyone off of Jones because I think that is, how do I say that? I don't want to say safe, but smart. Whereas if you want to follow my gut calls, John Hunter's more of the kamikaze gut call, where Eric Jones is the calculated smart call.
Or even if you wanted to, you could fit both of them into a lineup and stack it.
Yes, you could. You could do both of them, and that'll probably give you the ability to go Hamlin Logano, Bell Hamlin, something like that, because those 2 guys are priced low enough, especially if you throw in a Hocevar.
Yeah, Hocevar, Ryan Preece.
Michael McDowell, Brian Preece, somebody like that where you're in that 7,000 or less range, 7,500 or less.
And honorable mention / shout out, because I think this is an interesting salary, but honorable mention to Alex Bowman, 6,800 on DraftKings.
Oh, what a steal, man. If he was still in the playoffs, I'd be all in on that bet.
Historically, this has not been his best track, but if he does qualify deep enough, I mean, it's still a Hendrick car down that low in salary. I'm not going to put that out of the question.
Even tracks he's not that good at, he's a top 15 driver. You know what I mean? 6,800 for a top 15? Wow. So I don't even know. I must have somehow scrolled right past that because I did not notice that. Great shout out.
Yeah, he's 7,500 on FanDuel, which that's actually, if you want to really compare positioning-wise, is a little smidge higher up than how he is on DraftKings on the driver ladder. So that's pretty interesting because usually we see the other way around.
All right. I'm digging it. Should we get into the bets now then?
Yeah, let's get into our betting core force real quick right here. So my betting winners that I've got, well, 3 out of the 4 are Joe Gibbs Racing. Christopher Bell plus 330, Denny Hamlin at plus 650. Yeah, that's where my Hamlin mention is. And Chase Briscoe at 750. And then also give me Joey Logano at plus 750 as well. So got some Logano love this week.
I basically have the same four. I wasn't sure where I wanted to go with the fourth. And after hearing you talk about Briscoe, I couldn't fade him. In order for me, Hamlin at 650, Logano at 750, Bell at 550, and then bring me home with Briscoe. I really am kind of all in on Hamlin. I hate doing that because I feel like I jinx these guys. But it sure seems to me that the 11 team called their shot saying, we want to win this race, and we're going all out to do so.
Yeah, I think Hamlin's got a pretty good shot overall. It wouldn't shock me if any one of those 3 JGR drivers ended up winning it.
No, honestly, Sean, I'll go a step further. I wouldn't be shocked if any of the 4 JGR drivers wins it.
I'm not 100% there yet for winning with Ty Gibbs, but I do think for him to get a good finish, I think is I could get behind that.
Oh, he wouldn't be a favorite by any means, but would it shock me if he did? Not the way they've run the last month.
Yeah.
But I do think it's one of those 3. I don't want to say I'll be shocked if one of those 3 doesn't win. Throw on Joey too, just because he always freaking does well here. I really think, with the 19's history that you talked about, I've already talked about Hamlin, Bell's history. Is there a bet somewhere where we can just bet on a JGR car winning at like +7 at plus like 1,500 or something?
Well, you could just bet Toyota to be the winning manufacturer. It's at plus 100, so even money right there for a Toyota to win.
Worth it. I'd rather put like $2 on Hamlin, $2 on Bell, and $2 on Briscoe versus $6 on a Toyota.
That being said, though, if you did want to talk about Ty Gibbs, he's definitely in McChicken territory. If you want,
he is in McChicken territory. He is in McChicken territory. That's true. I honestly don't know if I want to chase McChicken bet though. With this being a playoff race, with Joe Gibbs' history, with the odds of the top Joe Gibbs drivers, I don't know that I want to chase McChicken bet this weekend. I know we do it for fun, so I'm not trying to rain on anyone's parade. I'm just saying, there's a lot of races we go to where I feel like the McChicken bet's kind of in play. I don't know that it's really in play here because we see this year in, year out. The playoff drivers it's like Michael Jordan in the playoffs. I don't know how else to describe it if you've never watched it. There's just another level. And when I've talked to people who have been in those situations, and it's not like I've talked to higher ups on the teams, but I have talked to some lowers, and they admit that you feel it in the shop change. And they said it's not so much tense or pressure, but it's almost like chest up, chest out. We have a mission, and like everybody's more focused. Everybody's more in tune. There's not bickering. It's almost like we know we're in the depths of battle. We ain't got time to disagree and muck around. It's go time. And you see that with Michael Jordan's play. Like I said, you've seen that with the Chiefs in the playoffs. I can't bet against any of these playoff drivers for this race win this weekend, Sean.
Well, that being said, I will make one call out right here. I didn't have this originally listed, but if you did want to bet on a playoff driver right there, I do like where Bubba Wallace is at 22-1.
That I can get behind. That's a McChicken bet. Sign me up for. Not that I love Bubba necessarily this weekend like I did at Indy, but Toyota, we've talked about his history. We talked about he's been the best at 23-11 through the playoffs here. It's not a crazy McChicken bet, Sean.
Yeah, he's even deeper than Reddick is. Reddick is at 15-1.
I wish there was a head-to-head between Wallace and Reddick. Give me Wallace.
There is, actually. That's kind of, well, I guess I should already go ahead and say it, but that is one of the other bets I already have laid out this week.
Let's hit your bets, because I don't have any other bets, because I told you I got skimpy because I didn't want to mislead anybody. So let's hear them, Sean, because I will give you my signature approval across, well, I don't want to say across the board, but the ones I'm really digging, I'll give my check to it, man.
So that bet right there, there is a head-to-head matchup between Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace. I'll get that out of the way. I like Wallace in that matchup. He is minus 105 in order to win that head-to-head against Tyler Reddick, who, by the way, Reddick is the one that they expect to be the favorite at minus 125. But give me Wallace at minus 105.
Time out. Are you... Never mind. We've talked about this before. Nothing puts me on tilt more than when books juice a bet like that. Like, you're going to give me minus 125 and then minus on the other guy, which means, well, he's a favorite too. Go eat it. Like, that is some, even dark alley bookies don't pull that. I'm just saying, man.
Classic DK, huh?
Just... Whatever. All right, give me Wallace. I'm with you. I sign off. I'll get my check on the Wallace. What else we got, Sean?
So the other head-to-head bet that I have right here is another teammate battle. It's between William Byron and Chase Elliott. Give me Chase Elliott at minus 110 right here in order to outperform Byron. So
I don't trust Hendrick at all, so I'm out on this one, but go for it. I don't disagree with your logic at all. I don't trust Hendrick right now.
Elliott's been the better performer at this track compared to Byron, historically speaking, and Elliott at times has displayed a little more speed than Byron. So I'm leaning towards Elliott right here, and you can parlay both the Hendrick and the 2311 head-to-head bets. You can parlay them together, and that gets you odds of plus 272 in case you did want to take that right there. And I think that realistically, both legs could end up getting accomplished this week.
It's not a bad parlay at all.
Yeah. Getting into my top 10s, I have a couple of drivers right here to name. I got Ross Chastain for a top 10 at plus 100, Chris Buescher at plus 110, Brad Kay at plus 120, Josh Berry, we didn't talk much about him, but plus 150 for a top 10, I can dig that. And Brian Preece at plus 200 for a top 10.
So my favorite of your calls there is Ross Chastain, given the tire test, and Brad. Those are my favorite two of that group you got there.
I do like Brad quite a bit. He's definitely one of the drivers I have my eye on for sure. Top 5 bets, I have 3 to name here. Give me Chase Briscoe at plus 100 in order to finish top 5. Joey Logano at plus 110 in order to finish top 5. And then Bubba Wallace plus 275 in order to finish inside the top 5.
I like this bet better than the McChicken bet. I know the McChicken's going to pay more, Sean, but I love having the buffer of 5 spots because Bubba has basically been a top 5 car in speed at all the tracks we've gone to so far this playoffs.
Yeah, I can totally get behind this one right here. I think he has enough speed to get it done too. And just 2311, because they get a lot of the same data from Gibbs. I mean, we know how good Gibbs is at this track. And there's, even if all 4 of the Gibbs drivers finish in the top 5, there's still room for one other driver to sneak in there. So might as well make it another one. As far as other bets are concerned, I have some group winners right here to mention. I'm going with DraftKings Group B right here. That's between Blaney, Logano, Byron, and Elliott. Give me Joey Logano at plus 220 to win that group. Group C, that's between Reddick, Chastain, Busch, and Chris Buescher. Give me Tyler Reddick here at plus 150 to win the group. And then Group D, that's between Wallace, Keselowski, Gibbs, and Berry. Unsurprisingly, because I mentioned him so many times in bets, give me Bubba Wallace to win that group right there. His odds are plus 180. You can take all 3 of those group bets I mentioned, put them in the parlay, and if you did do that, the odds are at plus 2140 in order to win that parlay.
Good parlay. I'm with you on the Logano one. I'm very iffy on the others because I could see Keselowski and Gibbs personally pushing Wallace. I could see Chastain and Buescher pushing Reddick. But I tell you what, I really like that Logano call on that at 220 out of that group. I really like that Logano call.
That's my favorite one of the 3 right there, bar none.
I do really like that. Well, Sean, like I said, I'm not trying to be skimpy on the bets. I'm not trying to let you all think I'm lazy. If and I'm being wholeheartedly here on what Sean gave out and which ones I'm really in with him on. But I needed Sean to get me back in NASCAR mode because I've been so deep in football mode. In fact, so deep in football mode that last week or 2 weeks ago when I was writing the NASCAR article, I somehow put a football player in the article and not a driver, and got that all. And I, instead of doing a Christian McCaffrey, I did a Chastain McCaffrey. So I have a hard time keeping things separate. So this is why once I get kind of on a tunnel path, I stay there. But I'm ready. I mean, I'm kind of ready for the NASCAR season to wind down, Sean. I enjoy these, 2 races instead of 3 type weekends. Bristol was fun. I wish we had more night races this time of year. It would make it easier to watch, but it is what it is.
Yeah, we got no more night races in the Cup Series for the rest of the season right there. You have races that might push themselves to go into night, like the championship in Phoenix, for example, but not races that are flat out starting in the night.
No, this, for example, we used to race the Magic Mile at like 7:00 at night on the East Coast time. Like that's when this race used to start. So that was peak summer. Obviously, you don't necessarily want to do that this time of year. Well, I guess it's not that chilly up there yet. But
didn't they also get rid of the night lights at that track?
Oh, they did. I didn't know they got rid of the lights.
I could have sworn that was a thing because that was a storyline like a couple years back. Yeah, I remember actually because there was a race that got called early due to darkness right there.
That's right.
Almirola won it over Bell, and Bell was chasing him down with a clearly faster car, but couldn't get there in time. One of the very few Cup wins that Eric Almirola had that wasn't on a super speedway.
I swear they used to race under lights there, but it says here they're looking to add lights. But I swear I remember watching a Magic Mile race under lights back in the day.
I know I believe there were some NASCAR games that had the night option there for New Hampshire right there.
Maybe that's what it was.
An unlockable thing. Unless
it changed, because it said previously the track had an agreement that prohibited night racing, which has now been identified as a barrier to maximizing the venue's potential. So maybe they did at one point and never did. Maybe I'm just a moron. I mean,
or maybe you're just hoping for more night racing to be there.
Well, it could be, but I swear I remember a Dale Jarrett race that he was racing and it was under lights. And maybe that's what it was.
Unless that was a different series.
Well, even still, I just don't understand, because usually my memory is pretty good on that. And apparently I was just wrong. Maybe I'm getting New Hampshire confused with Martinsville, which would shock me because the concrete at Martinsville sticks out, and Martinsville only recently added lights.
Yeah, man, Martinsville under the lights. That's exciting. Doing a little research at the end of our show this week right there on the RaceGuru Thunder Hour. A little bit of typing and fact-checking.
Yeah, because it's saying here when it opened in 1990. Oh, holy crap. This is why you guys have to be careful with AI and ChatGPT and stuff. So I asked it, did it ever have lights? No, since it opened, it never had lights. And I was like, but I know it had a night race in the 90s. It said, yes, you are correct. New Hampshire Motor Speedway did host a night race in the 90s. Specifically, the 1995 Craftsman Truck Series race was held under temporary lighting. However, this was not a permanent installation.
Interesting.
Yes, and this occurred in the Cup Series did run a race under the lights in 1997. I feel better now.
Oh, man. I guess you didn't go crazy after all.
I have a photographic memory, Sean, and I vividly remember seeing the dark track, because you know how they hug that wall right after pit road. You know how they've hugged that wall. We've even seen on green flag pit stops problems with guys coming out because they take that apron down there on the corner. I vividly remember the lights glowing in the background and watching a race where that happened. So that's why I thought we had a summer and a night, like, because they went there twice. I always thought one was night, one was day. Obviously, I was wrong on that, but not crazy. 1997, they did have a night race, making it one of the few instances of being run at the track after dark.
There you go. The more you know.
You got to be, I'm telling you all, be careful with chat and AI. First of all, it told me Doug Flutie was left-handed, which isn't true. Second of all, they tried to tell me Lucas Oil owned Indianapolis Raceway Park, IRP. We know that's not true. We know they're just a sponsor. So when I pushed back and said, are you sure it's just not a sponsor? It's my understanding that track ownership is someone else. Yes, you are correct. They do sponsor the track, but it's actually owned by NHRA. So be careful assuming that the Chat GPT, AI, whatever, spitting you back the right answers, because I'm telling y'all, they are not.
Yeah, AI is not perfected yet as it is. There's still going to be quite some time before they even these companies try to make them quote unquote perfected. But even so, nothing beats good old fashioned research right there.
Wait till I tell you offline sometime about this little game that people have been playing with AI, where you tell it, like, say Apple if you want to say yes, or you want to say no, but you have to say yes, or vice versa. And you tell it to be one-word responses and be direct and something else. You get a little creeped up what they start asking it, what it starts saying, bro.
I have never experienced anything of that kind, so I don't have much of an idea of exactly what you're referring to.
It'll trip you out. I'll see if I can get you a link too. But once I tell you about it, I just don't want to get into it on the show because I already think I'm nuts. This will really make them think I'm nuts.
Well, we'll leave that to people maybe contact you on Twitter about, I guess.
or Discord, yes.
Or Discord.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, we want to thank the Elite Plus Network and FantasyGuru.com. We did run a little long, Sean, and I did not expect that. I got long-winded probably because I haven't been here in a while. And once Sean got me fired up, I completely forgot how exhausted I was and that football even existed. But please do follow Sean on X at Sean E247, SEANE247. Please, hey, we all know Mark Hogan does more than just chime in here and there. He is brilliant with DFS work and content. Please give DFS_Marlin a follow on X. Hit us up in Discord. He was hoping to be here tonight. Unfortunately, work got in the way, but shout out to Mark. I know he's made me a better player, so I'm happy to have him as part of the team. You can find me on X at Fantasy Bosco. It's not worth following me there. Hit me up in Discord. If you really want good content, good thoughts, Discord is where I'm at. But you can find me at Fantasy Bosco. I am Rich. I'm buried in Football Maletto. That is Sean Engel at Sean E247. Until next time, this has been the Fantasy Guru Thunder Hour. Peace.